Broadcaster, to you and your family. I go by the name of Glory Talks, and I'm going to be reading a couple books that are my absolute favourite on the behalf of the Easter special by Camp Best of All. Now, the book that I'm starting off with is literally out of this world. This one is called Man on the Moon, written by Simon Bartran. This is Bob. Perhaps you've heard people talk of him. You may know him better as the Man on the Moon. There he is on the moon. This is where Bob lives. Every morning he rises at 6 o'clock. He has a cup of tea and 2 eggs for breakfast before leaving for rocket launch pad. On the way, he stops to buy a newspaper and some chocolate toffees. He's on his way to work. By 8 o'clock, Bob arrives at the launch pad, changes into his special Man on the Moon suit and boards his fantastic rocket ship. He must make sure he leaves by 9:15, otherwise he wouldn't make it to the moon by 9. On the way, he reads the newspaper and does the crossword. Bob starts work. His job as a man on the moon is very important. He has to keep the moon clean and tidy. Quite often, astronauts drop sweets and packets of cans. Some people say that aliens are responsible for much of the rubbish, but Bob knows that's not true. There's no such thing as aliens. Of course, they're aliens out of space. By 12:30, it's time to eat. Bob goes to his rocket to fetch his lunchbox. This usually contains 2 sandwiches, either cheese or peanut butter, an apple and some chocolate-covered nuts. Yum. Sometimes he meets his friends for a picnic. His 2 best friends are Billy, the man on Mars, and Sam, the man on Saturn. They talk about the stars and tell jokes. After lunch, tourist spaceships start arriving from Earth. It is part of Bob's job to entertain them and give them something to photograph. So he does some somersaults, handstands, and especially his high moon jumps. Sometimes he performs as long as 2 hours and is left quite out of puff. Occasionally, the tourist spaceships will land on the moon. When they do, Bob gives them a guided tour and a speech. He tells them lots of facts, such as how many craters the moon has or how long it takes to walk around on stilts. Sometimes people ask him about aliens, and Bob explains patiently that there aren't any. Afterwards, Bob opens a small souvenir stand, selling postcards, pencils, mugs, and small plastic moon models. By 4:30, all visitors must leave the moon. Bob looks around to see that everyone has left. He checks inside in any big craters in case anyone has fallen in, but there's never anyone there. The working day is nearly over. It is time to check everything is in order before leaving for the night. Bob packs away his equipment and any unsold souvenirs into his rocket. He switches on the moon's nightlight before jetting off towards Earth. By this time, he is very tired, but he still has to keep his wits about him while flying the rocket. As he reaches Earth, it's about 5 o'clock. The rush hour is in full swing with everyone leaving work and going home. Just like Bob. At home, Bob is just like anyone else. First, he has a long bath. Moon work can make you very grubby at times. The dust can get inside your suit. Then he goes to bed with a mug of cocoa. He sleeps soundly, bathed in moonbeams, very happy to be on the moon. And aliens? Well, Bob would know if there are any. But all the aliens are here. Wouldn't he? And that one was called Man on the Moon, written by Simon Bartran. A story that tells us and teaches us that aliens are out there and that we can work on the moon and still have a normal life. And without any wait, this one is called Big Bad Bun, written by Jeanne, Willis and Tony Ross. This is the Big Bad Bun in action. There never was a rabbit as bad as Big Bad Bun. Or so you'd think if you read this letter, which he left on his bed after school day 1. Dear Mum and Dad, I'm sorry to tell you I have run away from home. I'm living at the dump in Devil's Dyke with my new best friends. They call themselves the Hell Bunnies, but that is nothing to do with what they call me. They call me Big Bad Bun. I wasn't sure about joining them at first, but they said if I didn't, I was a fairy foo-foo. So I stayed and now I'm having a lovely time. Honest, I passed all the tests they gave me so that I could be a Hell Bunny too. Being buried up to my nose in cowpats wasn't half as bad as I thought. Then I had to blow a raspberry at Mr. Fox, which was a bit scary because he can run ever so fast when he's cross. The worm burger I had to eat tasted yuck, but I expect that's because I used to be a vegetarian. You hardly recognise me now. Mum, I've dyed my tail, I'm into leather, and I've had my ears pierced. I never wash my whiskers, and I always go to bed really late. When you get to know them, the Hell Bunnies are really sweet guys, but you'll not want to know what they did to Farmer Giles. I've crashed my bike a few times once I was racing up the turnip field and it hit a scarecrow. Again, when I accidentally ran over the end of Mr. Bull's tail. And again, when I did a wheelie over the pigsty. I never wear a crash helmet, but I don't give a flying furball. Sorry to say rude words, but that's how we Hell Bunnies speak. As I write this, the Weasel crew have ridden into our camp and started a bun fight. I've been hit! Don't worry, the red blobs on this page are just jam, I hope. I must dash. If you ever see me again, please give my baby sister a kiss and try not to blame yourselves. Your loving son, Big Bad Bun, once known as Fluff. P.S. None of this letter is true. I'm at Grandma's house. I just wanted to remind you that there are worse things in life than my terrible school report, which is hidden under my pillow. School of Furry Education, 1 Cabbage Row, Hatch Lane, Hampshire. Headmaster, Mr. Buck Warren. School report. From Miss Burrows, teacher, to Mr. and Mrs. Jumper Hole, 13, Slightly Common, Hampshire. Pupil, Fluff E. Jumper. Fluff entertains the class with mild tales but often digs himself into a hole. If he continues to escape under the fence, he will not be allowed on our trip to the Rabbit Pellet Factory. Arithmetic. Fluff is more interested in rolling about in the clover than learning how to count, yet he knows exactly how many carrots there are in a row. Please remind him not to nibble in class. Physical education. Fluffy is excellent at hopping, skipping and jumping. However, he must stop leaping about during assembly. General comments. Fluff is bright-eyed and has a fine pair of ears. Unfortunately, he never uses them to listen to his teacher. Unless he wishes to end up in a pie, he must pull his cotton socks up. PPS, you can come and fetch me when you've stopped being cross. Only please hurry up. I'm starving and Grandma's cabbage stinks. Fluff, kiss, kiss, kiss. So at the end of the day, Bun wasn't so big and he wasn't so bad, which just goes to show you can't always believe everything you read. I love that lesson. That was Big Bad Bun. Now to save the day is Captain Flinn and the pirate dinosaurs. I've never heard of pirate dinosaurs until I read this book. This is Flinn. He is wearing his pirate t-shirt and colouring in a picture he has drawn of a dinosaur. Flinn loves dinosaurs. One day at school, Flinn was colouring in a new dinosaur picture when he realised he didn't have quite enough pens. "Why don't you have a look in the art cupboard, Flinn?" said Miss Pye, his teacher. "I think there are more colours at the back." So Flinn opened the door and stepped into the cupboard. There was lots of paints and rolls of paper and pots of glue, but Flinn couldn't see any pens. As he searched, he heard a noise. Boo-hoo! Boo-hoo! Sniffle, snuffle, sniffle. Right at the back of the cupboard, under an old curtain, was something shaking and shuddering, like a giant jelly. Flinn crept closer and closer. When he lifted up the curtain, he couldn't believe his eyes. It was a real pirate captain. "Hello," said Flinn. "What's the matter?" The pirate, whose name was Captain Stubble, sniffed and looked at Flinn. "My ship! They've stolen my ship!" he sobbed. "1 minute I was fast asleep and the next I was in the water watching my precious ship, the Acorn, sail away." "But who has stolen it?" asked Flinn. "I don't know," said Captain Stubble, "but as I watched, I heard a roar. And then a strange kind of song. It went, yo-ho-ho, yo-ho-ho. Something, something, go, go, go. Very strange, said Flinn. "How will you get your ship back?" "I don't know," blustered Captain Stubble. "I can't do it on my own." "I could help," said Flinn bravely. And so we will. It was Flynn's friends, Pearl, Tom and Violet. "We love adventures," they said. Into a bright blue day where an old pirate ship was waiting. "She's not quite what I'm used to," said Captain Stubble. "But if this ship helps me find my beloved Acorn, then she'll do for me. All aboard!" "Righty, me hearties," said Captain Stubble. "If you're going to be pirates, you need to look like pirates." Flinn brandished a gleaming silver cutlass. "And since you seem to be so brave, Flinn," he said, "you could be captain of this ship. I'd much rather be the cook." The pirates were about to give up hope when Pirate Violet shouted from the crowd's nest, "Ship ahoy!" Stubble grasped his telescope. That's my precious acorn, he cried. Let's board it, cried Captain Flynn, and reclaim your ship from those pirate baddies. All hands on deck. They sailed faster and faster and got closer and closer. When they nearly alongside, Captain Flynn put the telescope to his eyes. His face went white. They're not just ordinary pirates, he stammered. They're pirate dinosaurs. And that is exactly what they were. They were pirate diplodocus, a pirate stegosaurus, a pirate triceratops, and pirate predator. And right at the helm of the ship, steering its course with his claws in the wheel, was a great big pirate, Dinosaurs Rex. When he saw Captain Flynn, he roared in a mighty roar. The dinosaurs sang in their terrible voices, "Yah-ho-ho-ho, yah-ho-ho-ho, pirate dinosaurs, go, 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 go. Attack!" cried Captain Flynn, and a great battle began. Clang! Clash! Swing! Splash! It wasn't long before all the pirate dinosaurs jumped overboard in terror, all except... Can you guess which dinosaur? Of course, the Tyrannosaurus Rex. He roared in a mighty roar. Captain Flynn could see his huge, sharp yellow teeth and his tonsils wobbling ferociously at the back of his throat. "I challenge you to a duel," shouted Captain Flynn. "I'm going to cut you up into little pirate sausages," yelled the Tyrannosaurus Rex, dribbling greedily. "Then I'm going to put you on the barbecue and eat you up with much too much tomato ketchup," he added. "Oh, no, you're not," yelled Captain Flynn, and charged. Their cutlasses flashed and crashed and bashed and smashed for at least 2 hours and 25 minutes until, finally, the Tyrannosaurus Rex was exhausted. "Captain Flynn," he stammered, "I surrender. You are such a great pirate that you should be the captain of all the pirate dinosaurs. Please spare me, and I promise I'll be the goodest goodie in the world. Honest." "Then maybe one day I'll be your captain," replied Captain Flynn. "But now we'd better get back to school. It's almost lunchtime." So Captain Flynn took the wheel of the acorn, and while Pirate Pearl, Pirate Tom, and Pirate Violet untied the crew, Stubble made a delicious shark's fin stew. When they got to the harbour, they waved goodbye to Captain Stubble and to the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Flynn saw that the door they had fallen through was still hanging open, so they all clambered in. And instantly they were back among the paints and rolls of paper and pots of glue. Flynn grabbed some colouring pens and they all crept back into the classroom. "And they all lived happily ever after," said Miss Pye, closing the book she had been reading. "You've been in that cupboard a long time, Flynn. What have you been doing?" Flynn smiled secretly at his friends. "Oh, nothing," he said. "Nothing really at all." That one was called Captain Flynn and the Pirate Dinosaurs. The last story I'm going to read is big and green, and he is one of my favourite superheroes. If you couldn't guess, His name starts with a H, and he's part of the Avengers crew. You've got it correct. It is Hulk. Bruce Banner was not always strong. He was not always powerful. And he was not always able to do incredible things. But most of all, Bruce was not always feared. In fact, when he was young, Bruce was mostly afraid. He was often sad and nervous, and he didn't have a lot of friends. But he always was ready to help someone in need. Bruce kept all his feelings buried deep inside him. Reading books about science always took his mind off things. And so, Bruce spent an awful lot of time with those books. As Bruce grew older, he continued to read, study, and learn. But he never learned to talk about his feelings. Bruce became a doctor of science who worked for the army. He worked very hard both day and night. He was studying a type of energy called gamma radiation. It was very dangerous, so he needed to be careful when he was near it. He wanted to find a way to use its power for good. Bruce decided the best way to test the gamma ray's power was to cause a massive explosion. He would then measure the dangerous gamma radiation with special equipment. General Thunderbolt Ross was in charge of the army lab where Bruce worked. He was angry with Bruce. The general had been waiting far too long to find out how much power the gamma rays held. He needed to know right now. But Bruce needed time to make sure the device was safe. He did not want anyone to get hurt. This made General Ross even angry, and he yelled at Bruce sometimes. Deep inside, Bruce remembered how upset he felt when people yelled at him as a child. So he listened to the general's orders and sent the device to a safe area in the desert to be tested. Soon, the countdown began. But just then, Bruce noted something on his computer screen. He looked through the telescope to see what was wrong. Someone had driven right into the danger zone. Bruce rushed out the lab. He couldn't let anyone be hurt by his experiment. Bruce told the teenager in the car that he needed to leave the site right away. But Bruce quickly realized they did not have time to clear the area. He pushed the boy to the safety inside a nearby shelter. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. But Bruce Banner did not find shelter in time. The explosion already happened. He was too late. Bruce woke up in an army hospital. The teenager was there too. Bruce learned the boy's name was Rick Jones. Rick thanked Bruce for saving his life. Bruce was happy that Rick was safe. He was also happy to be alive. But then he looked around. He remembered the blast. He felt so scared, so confused, and so helpless. Just the way he had when he was young. Bruce felt trapped. And then something changed in Bruce. The soldiers didn't know that the gamma rays had transformed Bruce. They didn't recognize Bruce. They called him a Hulk. The army tried to stop the Hulk, but the Hulk just wanted to leave. He didn't want to hurt anyone. He only wanted to be left alone. So when he noticed that his actions put the soldiers in harm's way, Hulk knew he needed to help. "Hulk smashed!" he cried. The Hulk had saved the soldiers and leaped away before he did any more damage. And not long after he transformed back into Bruce Banner, Bruce didn't know if he would ever change into Hulk again. He thought it best to hide out and lay low. All the time, he wondered just how he had become more a man and the Incredible Hulk. That one was called Hulk, taken from Marvel, and he's one of my favourite superheroes, a part of the Avengers. I've been Glory Talks. Happy Easter to you and your family once again. And remember, don't eat too many Easter eggs.